Hello, everyone. I'm Nidia Cordova. I'm the Alumni Relations Manager at the CUNY School of Professional Studies. Today, we celebrate Giving Tuesday, which has become a global movement that inspires hundreds of millions of people to give, collaborate, commemorate generosity. So this year's activities for Giving Tuesday, which we at CUNY call CUNY Tuesday, includes planning this wonderful career panel and fundraising for grants and scholarships to help support CUNY SPS students to successfully attain their college degrees. Student success is made possible through the continued generosity from people like you. So please show your support for CUNY Tuesday today by visiting sps.cuny.edu /CUNY Now I would like to welcome you to this year's CUNY Tuesday panel discussion called Do I Need a Mentor to Advance in My Career? Featuring expert panelists who will offer advice on the importance of mentoring, developing a professional support system, and best practices to help students and alumni succeed in their careers. After the discussion, we will open up breakout rooms where we encourage all attendees to continue the conversation by sharing their mentoring experiences and any questions they may have. So before we get started, I just want to ask for attendees to please add your CUNY school to your name or the business that you're affiliated with. If you can add that to your display name on Zoom, appreciate that. And now I just want to take a moment to thank our amazing career services team at CUNYSPS and to our wonderful co-hosts for this evening, the City Tutors. For those of you who don't know City Tutors, they are a no-cost learning and career organization for New Yorkers who have been historically locked out of individualized academic and professional development services. So I'm sending a big thank you to Gary Rifkin, Michael Chin, who's here with us tonight, Kevin.com Brown, and the rest of the amazing team at City Tutors. And now I'll turn it over to Michael Chen, who will introduce our moderator and speakers for this evening. Take it away, Michael.
All right, thank you so much, Nia. And hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to the City Tutors Mentorship event. Do I need a mentor to advance in my career? So I'm Michael Chen, Chief Program Success Officer with the City Tutors. That's a fancy way of saying that I'm here to make sure that this event moves smoothly. Now, for those of you who are just signing on, like Nadia said, if you'd be so kind as to put in parentheses your school or organization affiliation at the end of your name. That way, when you go into the breakout rooms, we don't just have to assume that you're a student. And like Nadia said, City Tutors is a not-for-profit startup. We were founded 10 years ago at the City College of New York campus. We provide free tutoring and free mentorship to any New Yorker. But our largest demographic for these types of events comes from the CUNY system. That's the City University of New York. So for the students on the call, the City Tutors tries to help you to be your most professional self, your most hireable self, by inviting you to events like this where you can speak with industry professionals and ask your questions directly. It's never too late to start preparing for your career and your life after college. Now, I would typically nudge the students with their cameras off to turn on those cameras. This is a networking opportunity. It's not a class. So when you go into the breakout rooms, these volunteers that are on the call, they're all working professionals and they're all volunteering their time and they're here for you. If my colleague Kevin Brown were here, you'd hear him say, if you lose money, you can always make more money, but you can't make more time. So when these volunteers donate their time, they're donating one of their most valuable assets that just can't be replaced. And so we try to show our appreciation by being engaged, having our questions ready, doing a nice, proper introduction. So I nudge you to take the opportunity to engage with these professionals. They might be someone that you need to reach out to when you're ready to graduate and you need a referral for a job opportunity, or for some guidance on how you can maneuver your career trajectory. So students, don't take this opportunity for granted. These professionals are here for you. And when they get a chance to introduce themselves, you'll see that these are active working professionals on the front lines of their industries. And they're here donating their time. Now, with all that said, let's get started in meeting our panel. So our panel moderator is Cheryl Wright. So Cheryl is VP Talent Management and Organizational Development, Broadridge Financial Solutions, Inc. So Cheryl is an HR talent management and organizational development professional with 25 plus years of experience in large global financial services firms. She supports leader and associate development, designs and develops learning solutions, and consults on career development. Cheryl has been the instructor for mentors and mentees for CUNY-SPS ACE Scholars programs, and in her personal life, Cheryl, her husband, and their cats divide their time between Morningside Heights and Long Beach, New York. So everybody, let's welcome Cheryl to the call.
Thank you.
Now to meet some of our panelists. So our first panelist is going to be John Luke Santos, Medical Concierge Manager. I hate to read a quote when we've got John here and he can introduce himself. John, would you be willing to do an introduction of yourself?
Of course, of course. So yeah, I'm a medical concierge manager, also a proud graduate of Health Services Administration from CUNYSPS. Right now I serve as a medical concierge manager at a leading private health and wellness company called Prestige Health and Wellness, where my responsibilities, of course, extend to overseeing various administrative responsibilities, departments, from managing an overseas verification department. It's located in the Philippines, to coordinating the intricacies of our medical reception. Dedicated to ensuring the seamless operations of our practice and prioritizing patient satisfaction.
Thank you so much for that, John. Everybody, welcome John Luke Santos to the panel. Our next panelist is Pamela Lee. Pamela, can you please introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. How are you? So I am Pamela Lee. I'm also a graduate of CUNY-SPS, and I work as a pediatric registered nurse. I actually graduated from SPS in the spring, and previously was also an A scholar. Currently, I'm also a professor now, which is actually very weird to say, but I work with Medgar Evers College, which I'm also an alumni of as well.
Just realized I'm muted. Thank you so much, Pamela. Everybody, welcome Pamela Lee to the panel.
Welcome.
Next, we have Carrie Ann King. So Carrie Ann is most recently Director of Employee Engagement at, I know I'm going to mispronounce his name, Sumitomo Biopharma. She has a bachelor's degree in philosophy from Swarthmore College and studied clinical psychology at City University of New York. Welcome to the panel, Carrie Ann.
My dogs just went nuts right when you introduced me. So yes, hi everybody. I'm super happy to be here. I am so excited to talk to everyone because I'm a person who transitioned careers a couple of times. So if that's something that's happening to you, I'm very happy to talk to you about it.
That is definitely what these students need to hear. Students, welcome Carrie Ann King to the panel.
Welcome.
And then we have Myrna Asubio Lithgow. So Myrna is the founder and CEO at LeapView Group and has more than 20 years of multinational experience leading strategic business units, brands, and products portfolio up to $10 billion in Fortune 500 companies. So ex-Verizon, ex-Orange, France Telecom, ex-Optimum. She obtained a Bachelor of Marketing and Master's in Corporate Finance from Pontificia Universidad Católica Madre Maestra. She also obtained a Master's in Marketing from the EADA Business School. Welcome to the panel, Myrna.
Thank you, Michael. So happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
And students, let's welcome Myrna and all of our panel. So I'm going to hand the mic over to Cheryl so that she can be our panel moderator.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me get started with the first question. And this is going to be for Carrie Ann and for John Luke. As a mentor, how can you assist a mentee in choosing and starting out in a new career path? Let's start with Carrie Ann.
Sure. So it's interesting. I feel like it depends on where someone is in their career, but particularly I think for people who are either early career or shifting careers, it's really helpful to have someone who can give you feedback, who can tell you, for example, if someone came to me and said, I want to get into DEIB on the corporate front, I would be really happy to help them figure out, like, are there courses they need to take? Is there experience they could get on the outside that would help them find that job as a career? So really someone who can help give you feedback on your direction. I think also mentors are frequently super inspiring. Like, I know my first mentor was actually a dance instructor, but it was his belief in me that inspired me to keep going no matter what it was. So I think it's, it's a mix between like providing information and providing inspiration.
Nice, nicely said. John Luke, thoughts on?
I think the best thing I think a mentor can provide, or I can provide somebody, is insight to the industry, and just provide information about the industry that I am in now. Sharing personal experiences also that offer realistic perspectives on the career path. It will really open the views and the minds of the students or those interested in that certain career, right? Like Carrie Ann said, many of us really didn't go into the first chosen path of career that we went into. There's multiple career changes here and there, and I think what would really help these students and as a mentor is to give them insight into the industry, right? Give them the day-to-day responsibilities of these positions, so that way they can get a better idea of what they're walking themselves into.
Okay, fabulous. Thank you for that. I'm going to move to the second question, and I would love to have Pamela and Myrna speak to this one, starting with Pam. What were some challenges you experienced in your career when a mentor was very helpful?
So I think anytime you're going into a new career, whether it's a new industry, a new profession, it's really figuring out who are your key players, right? And when you're entering into a new environment, whereas you don't really know anyone, you haven't started to formulate any of these relationships, it can be a challenge because you have all of these amazing questions to ask, but not sure exactly who to direct them to. So I think that that really is a big obstacle that happens kind of when you enter into a new place. The other thing that really can present a challenge is knowing when is the best time to network, or what is the best opportunities in networking, and really kind of coming out of your shell to be comfortable enough to have those conversations with the important people that want to hear your amazing ideas. You're just kind of shy or afraid to kind of get into that mode to say, I have something amazing to say, I just don't know who the right audience is. So I think that presents a big obstacle.
Okay, thank you. And Myrna, would you speak to this one?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. So I will agree 100%. I will define that a mentor is equal to a guide, right? So it's kind of providing you that guidance. And sometimes, when we're navigating challenges, or even if we have, imagine at work, we have any issues, with our boss, a colleague, right? Or there's a setting that of change within the organization. We live in constant change, and basically having someone that can, sometimes be a sounding board, right? Or serve you as a sounding board, but also help you put yourself above the situation and start looking above that situation to the 360 can help you navigate those challenges quicker and better. Just to give an example, I have 20 plus years in my career, right? Navigating the corporate world, which you go through imposter syndrome, you go through so many challenges. And especially, with all the D&I issues that we have going on, it's always so good to have someone that is there, that is that guide, that help you embrace all of those changes. In one of those changes, right in the half of my career, I was offered a position in B2B, and I've always only worked in B2C till that point. And I was petrified, right? And I had at that moment an opportunity, but I was seeing it as an issue. So that mentor, which actually was my professor in my alma mater, was an amazing guide and light, to let me see that it was an opportunity. And that was the moment when I took that decision that my career took off. So a mentor can be a guide, but can also be pivotal to any, career or challenge that you're facing.
Okay, fabulous. That's a great answer, Myrna. Thank you. And I love it. Thinking of a mentor as a guide is perfect. Okay, third question is for Carrie Ann. And it's about how, when you are matched with a mentee or a mentor, what are some things you can do that can really enhance the connection? Because many times programmatic matching, there might not be natural chemistry, but how can you make that better? Carrie Ann?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. And I think it speaks also to how when you find a mentor who's this person who you've run into and you ask them and it's all inspiring and exciting, that's really great. But frequently we're just matched with someone, and how do you make that work? I think for mentees, it's really, really important to be clear about what you need and what you want out of the relationship. So I kind of feel like mentoring falls into two general buckets: practical information and soft skill feedback. So you have to be very clear with your mentor what you want from the relationship. And I think also showing a little bit of interest in your mentor, asking them about, take a look at their LinkedIn, take a look at their resume, find out what they've done, ask them questions about specific things that you see in their profile that are interesting to you. And I think all of those things can be really helpful. And then for mentors, I think you've decided to give your time. So it's really your responsibility to take that mentee at face value. Whoever they are, you're there to listen and to understand, and to be helpful. And even if you are not sure if that person is someone you could really help, there's going to be something. If you listen long enough, if you dive deep enough, you're going to find the thing that you have to offer that person that's really going to help them move along.
Okay, I love that, being clear on your goals and being curious about the mentor. And then really just accepting the mentee wherever they are in their journey, and really looking within to see how, and listen for what is the way that I can be helpful. I thought you were going to be talking about being your authentic self or being willing to be vulnerable, and I would just throw those in there, as that also helps when you think about how am I presenting and how am I coming across.
Absolutely. And I think that's so, like, your mentor is the person who can take that, right? There's a certain amount of being authentic that might not be appropriate with your colleagues or with your manager or with your manager's manager. Your mentor is the person who's there to absorb that and then say, you should take that to your manager, or you should say stuff like that to me and not to your manager. I think it's, that, because and that's a big difference. And it's a big reason to have a mentor who's not in your reporting line, maybe not even in your department. It might seem counterintuitive, but sometimes someone who's outside the situation is the best person for you to talk to about the situation, particularly if it's a soft skills issue.
Yeah, thank you. I've heard of that referred to as the clarity of distance. So thank you. Let me go to John Luke on the next one. And John Luke, can you talk about how does mentoring work when both the mentee and the mentor are super busy? They may not be in a formal program, and there might not be a lot of time, a wealth of time for meetings.
Yeah, so just being communicative both ways with the mentee and the mentor. Like if you have maybe just quick project that you're dealing with, some advice here and there, really opening up that line of communication both ways goes a long way. Sometimes even just answering one or two questions that that you might have and you're not sure about, and that person had experienced that before. Just not being afraid to ask those questions, even if you feel like that might be just something that you should know already. You know, this goes back into what you guys were speaking about earlier of just being vulnerable and open. Just being comfortable enough to reach out to that person, even though, like you said, a lot of us like right now don't have the time, but it is our responsibility as mentors to find that time, maybe even like 5-10 minutes, and just like, yeah, opening up that line of communication, being comfortable enough to reach out and be vulnerable and be open about these questions would really help out even with those simple day-to-day tasks.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for that. Okay, I'm going to ask two more questions. One is, I'd like you to speak about how mentoring or being mentored impacted your career journey.
So I can definitely say, as a nurse, there is always the line of mentoring, informal and formal, right? So I've been a preceptor, I've been a precepted, and that's that mentee mentor type of relationship. I think the biggest thing that we take for granted is kind of this. Brenner has this thing called novice to expert. And irregardless within your lifetime, there's this complete cycle that at some point in time when you're entering, you will always be the novice, and understanding that that's okay. And as you continue to progress and you gain more knowledge and you gain more experience and insight, you continually also will progress. And not only will you progress being the mentee, you will also progress forward as the mentor in some capacity as you gain more experience and being comfortable with that. I think being open to constructive feedback is super important, right? That vulnerability that, both John and Carrie were kind of talking about is going to be important to your growth, because hearing the things about yourself that someone has kind of observed from you, you want that filtering to happen with your mentor relationship, because that's that point in time where the kinks that you kind of start to work out, that's where it happens. That's where someone can say, I think you meant this. And when they hold up that reflective image to you, you're like, no, I didn't mean that at all. And it gives you that opportunity for growth that's needed as you kind of continue as you go along. Being involved and making yourself available. Having that mutual respect between the person that's mentoring you and yourself as a mentee, feeling respected, is going to be super important as well. So I think once you have things like being flexible, being open, having that active communication, a lot of what my fellow panelists have been speaking about is going to be really important into this aspect as well.
Okay, love it. Being open to grow. Fantastic. I'm going to finish with this one. For Myrna, talk to us as if we are getting ready for our first meeting as a mentor or as a mentee. What is your advice, Myrna?
That's such a great question. Time is of essence. So, if someone is giving their time, you should prepare yourself with what is it that you actually want to achieve with that mentorship and with that session. And preparing yourself, it's doing a little bit of introspection. Self-awareness is something that we should always strive to have before going into any situation, and just doing that introspection of what is my why and my purpose for doing this, and how is that tied, and it's part of the building blocks of what I want to achieve later, right? So having said that, you will need to measure and have clear objectives. To be able to measure, you will need to have that goal setting that you were referencing, Cheryl, earlier today. From a mentee perspective, also come with an open mind and open heart. We are an unfinished product. The most important thing is that you raise your hand and you said, I could use some help. And that is one of I think the biggest and most important steps that someone can have in their lives is having that growth mindset of understanding that I don't know it all, that there's people that can help me. Even, I have 20 years of experience, but I ask my kids, I ask, their friends, I ask students when I'm conducting a class. There's so much that you can learn. And when you're a mentor, we're also giving and receiving, right? But you're receiving so much also from the mentee. From a mentor perspective, I will say that you have to go with, with all your heart into supporting and being that guide without being prescriptive, right? Without saying, this is what you have to do. It's important that we let the other person be and find their own path, doing that introspection and asking the right questions. So I think, for a mentor, and it's equal to be a leader, I will say. Anyone in leadership positions have this responsibility to be a coach to their teams or to their peers, or even sometimes even to your boss. So it's so important to go with that reciprocal mindset of, I'm going to give and I'm going to receive, but I'm prepared and I know exactly what we're going into.
Okay, thank you, Myrna. It's a great insight there. Being aware, where is the other person? They could be anywhere on their journey. What are they ready for, and how can I help them? Okay, fabulous. So we are at I think, a decision point. We could stay with the panel and do a lightning round question, or we could transition to the breakouts now. And let me ask for Nydia and for Michael.
I think we have.
What are your thoughts?
I think we have time for some more questions for the panelists.
Yeah, we can go into the bonus round.
The lightning round, or did you
Yeah.
both answer two different things, or
No, lightning round.
sound that way? Okay.
Lightning round.
All right, so then we're going to go with the title of this webinar. Do you need a mentor to advance your career? I'm going to go alpha order. So I think that John is first in the alphabet. John,
Yes,
we'll start with you.
the easy answer to this is yes, of course, because why not, right? Why not have that leverage? Why not have that prior knowledge from these experts that are already in the industry that can give you that leg up from the competition, right? Why not just spend that little bit of time, 5-10 minutes, half an hour throughout the day to connect with a mentor and just see where you are at in your progress, right? So the easy answer to this question is yes, of course you do. It helps tremendously, and everyone in this panel can attest to it. And yeah, definitely have one.
Okay, thank you, John. Let's go to Carrie Ann.
Okay, so I'm going to be contrarian and say no, you don't need a mentor to advance in your career. There's lots of other things you can do that will get you promoted, get you attention, get you advanced in your career. The question is, it's those human connections that are the things that propel your career. I know almost no one who's super successful who doesn't have some capacity for making human connection. And your mentorship relationship is the place where you can learn to do that and learn to do it in an appropriately professional way. So yes, you can succeed, but there's always going to be something holding you a little bit back unless you learn to have those human relationships and learn to do it in a way that's work appropriate.
Okay, you had me flashing on Elon Musk there. So I don't know. Is he having human connections? I hope so. Okay,
He's not responsible for his own success, though, right?
Okay.
His father owned an emerald mine. That's
All right.
Nepo babies don't count.
Okay, let's go to Myrna.
Well, I will add to that depends on your definition of success too.
Exactly.
That. So I will say that definitely you need people in your life, as Carrie Ann was saying. I will say that absolutely, I have even a personal board of directors, right? People that you can count on that are there, that will be your sponsor, will talk for you and root for you, even if you're not in the room. So you absolutely need that board of director. And one of that could be mentors, and there could be a lot of other mentors in the way. If you absolutely need this, for me, it's really hard to believe that I could have done this alone, that others can do this alone. You need people, and you need people that can give you guidance because you're that unfinished product.
Okay, thank you. I love that answer. And Pamela.
Yeah, so I kind of go back to what I was saying before, which is what are your who and where and how can you figure out who are your key players, right? And whether or not they have the title of mentor, whether they have the title of, your supervisor is someone to supervise you. Your coworker is someone you work alongside of. But in terms of career advancement, it's who are the key players, right? That are along that pathway that you're trying to get across. And that's going to be helpful. So whether or not it happens to be a mentor, I think that that's going to be super important for you. Your mentor is your person, your personal guide, so to speak, that kind of helps you along the way. But similar to what Carrie Ann was saying, like those achievements, kind of standing out, kind of being this, not the squeaky wheel, but being the person who is noticed, but for a good reason, right? It's okay to be outspoken, but when it's channeled. So it's having that balance of who are my key players, and if I need a guide, if I feel like I need a more personalized assessment to this, or a pathway to get where I'm going, that's where that mentorship comes into play. So depending on your career advancement, what are your goals? I think that's the best way to kind of look at it as you kind of move along in your careers.
Thank you. I love it. Great answers from the lightning round. I'm going to chime in with my own 2 cents. I agree with Carrie Ann. You don't need it, but it can be super helpful. And it depends on what you're trying to achieve. A mentor could be one of those human connections that is just going to benefit you and add to your insights and your knowledge, and also reflect you back so that you can see yourself better. You can have many mentors, and likely you will, whether they're formal or informal. You can also have coaches. You can also have boards of directors. You definitely can benefit by having a network, and a mentor, if nothing else, can be a component part of your network. Maybe someone who's going to be more than just a casual acquaintance, but someone who gives you feedback and who's on your side. So this has been so much fun for me. Thank you very much for having me as a moderator. And thank you so much to everyone on the panel, Carrie Ann, Myrna, John Luke, and Pamela. Lovely to see you again. And I really enjoyed it. Thank you. Handing back to you, Michael.
Wow. Every students, turn on your cameras and give a round of applause for the panel for that discussion.